In ancient Roman religion and myth, Janus is the god of beginnings and transitions, and thereby of gates, doorways, and passages. The Romans named the month of January in his honor. Janus is usually depicted as having two faces, since he looks to the past and to the future. The guardian of exits and entrances, Janus represents the transition from past to future, from youth to adulthood. He is the patron of adolescents, who, often enough, long for the cozy nest of childhood, even while pushing against limits to their freedom and independence. An image of the Roman god Janus hangs in my office, because I like his story, and I want to be like him. Ever vigilant, and with 4 eyes, he scans 2 horizons simultaneously, mindful of the past while imagining the future. He is historian and visionary. He seeks balance. He has wisdom. He's a superhero. The picture of Janus in my office is a daily reminder of my unique responsibility and special privilege. In all my work at our school, with our students, their parents, our colleagues, I strive to be a master guardian of transitions. Last summer, I had a Janus-inspired moment, not profound enough to be called a revelation, but definitely a looking backward and looking forward moment. And that is what I would like to share in this second part of my presentation. My husband was born in Belgium, immigrating to this country as a little boy, and when his father, a musician, was offered a choral director and organist position 4,000 miles away in Michigan. The family built a new life in their new country. Most of my husband's family still live in Belgium or during the summer in France. I was introduced to some of my husband's Belgian relatives even before we were married, and during decades of interactions, have developed personal relationships with many of them. A second layer of intimacy has developed between our children and their Belgian second cousins. Although transatlantic journeys and family reunions are infrequent, they are always so comfortable. The interval between visits magically collapses when we sit together to enjoy long, unhurried suppers and easy conversation. We are committed to staying connected to our roots. Facebook definitely helps in that regard. In early August, my husband Dirk and I traveled to France to visit cousins Syl and Hug in their summer home in Cézy, France, a town as small as you can imagine, nestled between farms in the Burgundy countryside. The rolling hills and network of wide canals inspire artists. Neighbors are big white French cows. Our time in Burgundy was glorious. Our French vacation ended in Burgundy, but began 10 days earlier in Normandy, where we immersed ourselves in a history tour that was grounded in a personal story. In the spring of 1940, my husband's father was a 19-year-old music student in a conservatory outside Antwerp. He lived with his older sister. They'd lost their parents 6 years earlier. In the spring of 1940, my father-in-law and his sister joined hundreds of thousands of other Belgians in a mass migration to France and in advance of an invading German army. The story of how my father-in-law and his sister survived the war is a powerful one, with themes that include grit and courage, a bit of wiliness. There are fake identity cards and diversionary tactics in the story, and the generosity of others, notably a French couple, the Legros, who sheltered the 2 refugees, my father-in-law and his sister, during a critical period of time. Our summer trip to France then was partly family reunion and part pilgrimage, as my husband and I traveled first to the town of Fécamp in the Normandy coast, walked the streets that Dad and his sister Shirley walked 70 years ago, stood in front of the building then owned by the Legros family, and imagined life in hiding on the 3rd floor. We spent several days in Normandy, focusing almost exclusively on visits to sites that figured prominently in World War II history. Bayou, San Lo, the beaches of the Allied invasion, Utah and Omaha. It was a profound experience. We all know the history and have seen the movies, but none of that quite prepares one for the sight of it. Broad, open beaches still pocked by D-Day bombardment, concrete casements, and gun pits still lining the adjacent hillsides. The American cemetery on the bluff above Utah Beach is a holy place. That the view below was so benign and tidy made the entire experience a little surreal. As preparation for our trip, we read up on our history and refamiliarized ourselves with stories of some of the heroes of that era. To that end, I picked up a book I have intended to read since its publication nearly 15 years ago. The Greatest Generation is a term coined by journalist Tom Brokaw to describe the generation shaped by the Great Depression, who went on to serve our country in battle and at home during World War II. Men and women who, according to Brokaw, fought not for fame and recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. Women and men whose towering achievements contrasted sharply with their modest demeanor. It's my parents' generation and my husband's parents' generation. It was a good book for me to read this summer. The personal stories of bravery and service were compelling and gave context to our Normandy visit. And here is the Janice-inspired moment I have been promising. Having just spent a school year thinking deeply about our school's mission and purpose and values, the idea of a greatest generation resonated strongly. When I step back and think about what my colleagues and I really want to give the children in our care, what we have always wanted to develop in them, it is the capacity for greatness. Why aspire to less? Not that we should ever place some heavy-handed burden on our children, expecting them to achieve what we could not, to clean up our messes. Rather, we strive to give our students, your children, the intellectual scaffolding, the social and emotional skills, and the character qualities that they will need to be ready for opportunity, opportunity with a capital O, and to make good choices when opportunity appears. Luck favors the prepared mind, said Louis Pasteur. We strive to prepare our students for their future, not our past. Well-educated, well-connected, and grounded by the values we all hold dear, they will have many choices in life. They will likely lead others. They will surely lead lives of consequence. We want our students' years at Harvard-Westlake to be very good years, rewarding and memorable years, but not necessarily the best years of their lives. Rather, we hope that their best years, and perhaps their moments of greatness, lie ahead of them, that their best years will always lie ahead of them. We believe in your children, and we are grateful for the opportunities to teach and learn from them, to inspire and nurture them in equal measure. I will end tonight, as I always do, by expressing gratitude. Thank you for your trust in us. Thank you for your support. And Happy New Year to you all. And now, in 2013, Rick Commons returned home to Harvard-Westlake, a school where he taught and guided students for 6 years as a teacher, a coach, and a counselor. Last year, as many of you have heard, Rick encouraged us all to re-examine the school's mission statement, to recommit to the school's purpose, and to develop new shared aspirations. The community-wide self-reflection led to a revitalized statement of our mission, and here to share that and much more, Harvard-Westlake's president, Rick Commons.